Good morning. This morning, I want to talk with you about, quote, the way love works, unquote. I'm being very specific about my approach and my direction concerning love. We might talk about how love thinks. We might discuss for a while about how love feels or how love views life or things. But I want to focus our attention specifically on how love works, or if you will, what love does. I find myself again and again going back to the seminal statement in John's Gospel, those basic words so often declared by so many in varied and wonderful ways. Quote, "For God so loved the world," and I must put in here the people of the world. "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that everyone who believes in him might not perish, but may have eternal life." The declaration does not tell us so much about what God thought, or meditated about, or considered. The verse presents in a very forthright fashion what God did, or if you will, the way God's love works. To push the idea a step further, the verse does not tell us so much about what God said as it does tell us about what God did. Of course, words and speech declared are important, make no doubt about that. But what love does is the true test. It is the ultimate evaluation. The sending of his Son was an action which was, to say the least, very risky. But one of the markers of love is the element of risk. Let's pursue this topic as we look at Jesus' life, ministry, and mission. There is often an unspoken message in Jesus' actions for and with people. When Jesus converses with the Samaritan woman at the well, he runs the risk of being criticized and misunderstood for his very bold actions in regard to this woman and, in a sense, to all women. Let me suppose an imaginary conversation later on in this encounter. The woman might have said, "Do you realize the risk that you are taking in talking and relating to me, a woman, and a Samaritan woman at that? Don't you know that they're going to criticize you and tear you apart for this?" In my mind, I hear Jesus saying to her, "You know, you're worth it." Or to push Jesus' response to a deeper meaning, "I want you to know that you are worth my risking all that may happen to me because I value you as a child of God." Or when Jesus heals the man with the withered hand on the Sabbath day and runs the risk of being accused of breaking the Sabbath law, Jesus is saying to him, "You're worth it." Or to probe the deeper meaning, "You're worth all the criticism I may receive because of what I'm doing. You're worth my taking the risk." The defining of it in each instance is to see worth in direct relation to personal risk. The teacher in the classroom, for instance, with her dedication and deep commitment, is saying, "You, each one of you students, is worth this time of my life, my effort, my caring, my love for you." The it of "you are worth it" is defined by one person's willingness to give and care person to person. Or on the other hand, when you and I refuse to risk our effort, our words, and our loving, are we really saying, "You're not worth it"? Or on the deeper level, "You're not worth my time, my words, my caring, and my love"? Any movement toward another requires some risk factor, even if we're only speaking to them. If we seek to say a word to someone about the love of God in Jesus Christ, there is a risk factor. However, will you consider that what we are really doing is saying, you are worth my risking myself, my words, my caring, and my love. Every action that Jesus took in his life and ministry had a risk factor involved. Every one of them. Jesus risked being misunderstood, misinterpreted, having his motives called into question, and having his intentions and his goals and his mission misjudged. Especially as the messenger from God, he risked his message being twisted and rejected. How can we claim to be his followers if we're afraid to say to one another, you are worth my caring, my loving, and you are certainly worth my risking? Jesus, give us courage for the doing of the work of love this very day in our lives.